Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. When we think about a nation's wealth, what usually comes to mind? We probably picture these towering factories, massive farmlands, or maybe bustling stock markets. But the absolute most powerful asset a country actually has, it isn't made of steel or concrete, it's the people. So today, we're going to unpack this whole concept of human capital, what it actually is, how it's built, and why it's pretty much the ultimate economic engine for a country's future. To really get our heads around this, picture this scenario for a second. Why does one farmer produce so much more than another when they're working with the exact same resources? You've got two identical plots of land, but drastically different harvests. Well, the answer isn't in the dirt, it's the farmer. The skills, the training, the pure know-how that one person has over the other literally transforms the output. And honestly, that one simple idea sits at the very heart of all economic development. So here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll cover 1. What is human capital? 2. Sources of human capital. 3. Physical versus human capital. 4. Driving economic growth. And finally, 5. Human capital versus development. All right, let's jump into section 1. What exactly is human capital? Think about how a country takes raw physical resources, like a vacant plot of land, and turns it into physical capital, like a huge factory. Well, it has to do the exact same thing with its people. Human capital formation is just the conscious process of investing in everyday human resources, like students or farmers, to produce highly competent professionals, like engineers, doctors, or teachers. And it's a fascinating cycle, really. You actually need solid human capital in the first place just to produce more of it. You have to have skilled teachers to train the next generation of workers. It's an investment that just compounds over time. And the famous economist Alfred Marshall actually hit the nail on the head a long time ago. He pointed out that spending money on education isn't just about the immediate payout. It's profitable because it gives everyday people a chance to uncover their incredible hidden potential. By investing in the masses, Marshall noted, you give folks the start they need to bring out their latent abilities. Without that initial investment, all that potential genius, it's just permanently lost to society. Moving right along to section 2, sources of human capital. So, where does this capital actually come from? Economists boil it down to 5 specific investments: education, health, on-the-job training, migration, and information. Think of these just like a tech company buying new software to boost future profits. When a family pays for tuition or when you pay for a routine doctor's visit, you're making a calculated investment. The direct goal? Increasing your future income and overall productivity. Now, the 2 absolute heavy hitters here are health and education. On the health side, a sick worker simply can't work, which means an immediate loss of productivity. So, spending on preventative stuff like vaccines or treating an illness directly ensures a healthy, active workforce. And then there's education. Education is literally like upgrading a computer's processor. It boosts a person's earning capacity, sparks innovation, and makes it way easier for them to adapt to new technologies. But hey, we can't forget the other pieces of the puzzle. There's on-the-job training, where companies spend money to sharpen their workers' skills. Then you've got migration and information. People spend a lot of money to move, say an engineer relocating across the world, because the higher salary makes up for the heavy costs of moving. Same goes for information. Spending time and money to research job markets or colleges is a totally necessary investment to make sure you're putting your skills to the best, most profitable use. Which brings us to section 3, physical versus human capital. It's actually super helpful to compare the two. Physical capital is tangible. You can see it, touch it, and sell it easily. Take a physical bus, for example. You can totally separate a bus from its owner. But human capital, you literally cannot separate the driving skills from the bus driver. Human capital is totally intangible. It's built right into your mind and body. You can't sell the skill itself, only the service of using that skill. Plus, while you can ship a piece of machinery across the globe with 0 issues, human capital is heavily restricted by things like borders, visas, and cultural barriers. And here's another real game changer. Who actually benefits? A physical machine usually only benefits the person who bought it, right? It's a private benefit. But human capital, that creates private benefits and massive external social benefits. An educated person doesn't just get a better paycheck for themselves, they help all of society by making informed democratic choices and driving progress. A healthy person doesn't just feel good. By practicing good hygiene, they actually stop diseases from spreading, which protects the entire community. All right, moving into section 4, driving economic growth. So we know that educated people generate more income and soak up new tech faster. But building that capital takes serious resources. When we look at realities on the ground, like makeshift school premises, it's a stark reminder of the massive infrastructure challenges out there. To truly unlock a population's potential, a country needs sustained, heavy government spending. You just can't maximize human capital if the fundamental building blocks, like safe classrooms and quality teachers, are missing. But when a country does make those investments, the results are undeniable. Just look at India's trajectory. From 1951 to the 2018-2022 period, male literacy jumped from barely 17% to 78%. Female literacy saw an even crazier leap, from under 9% to over 71%. And what happened to the economy? Real per capita income absolutely skyrocketed from about 7,600 rupees to over 94,000 rupees. It is the perfect proof that investing in health and education directly fuels massive national economic growth. And looking ahead, this investment is absolutely crucial. As India's National Education Policy 2020 highlights, the global landscape is changing fast. With AI, machine learning, and big data blowing up, routine, unskilled jobs are simply going to vanish. Add in climate change, and suddenly we desperately need new experts in biology, chemistry, and environmental science. For any nation to become a fully developed economy in this new era, forging a highly skilled, multidisciplinary workforce is literally the only way forward. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Human Capital versus Human Development. This is where we take a bit of a philosophical turn, because these two terms sound similar, but they are profoundly different. The human capital perspective essentially treats people as a means to an end, and that end is just increased productivity. From this angle, if an investment in health or education doesn't eventually pump out more goods and services, it's considered unproductive. But the human development perspective flips that entirely. It argues that human beings are the ends in themselves. Under human development, we should invest in health and education simply to increase human welfare, even if it never adds a single cent to labor productivity. It reminds us that being able to read a book or just live a long, healthy life are fundamental human rights. These things empower people to make meaningful choices, entirely regardless of their factory output or what's on their resume. Basically, health and education are valuable all on their own, period. So, as we transform into these hyper-connected knowledge economies, I want to leave you with something to really chew on. We hear all the time that pushing technology and IT services into rural areas is the ultimate solution. But ask yourself, will deploying all this tech actually enhance true human development, giving people better choices and healthier lives? Or is it just going to boost our economic statistics and human capital output? It's a subtle difference, but it's massive. And how we answer that question is for sure going to shape the future of our societies. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the world around you.